Good morning, JDD Jaguars, and welcome to a special edition of Jaguars: A Roadmap to Success. Jaguars, today we will all have the opportunity to experience a very special presentation. And that presentation known as Rachel's Challenge. Now, I won't get into too much detail about what Rachel's Challenge is about. That's what our video today is for. Alright, but I will say it is a very powerful experience that we here at GDD are all lucky to experience, and it's something that we should all be able to walk away from thinking of ways that we can contribute to our school culture and to our homes and communities. Alright, with that said, let's get into two videos that are related to Rachel's Challenge.
Good evening, everyone. The reaction of so many people today was, oh no, not again. Another high school, Columbine High in Littleton, Colorado this time, on the edge of Denver. It has been a horror. The spokesman for the local sheriff's office speaks of as many as 25 fatalities inside the school, the gunman, fellow students who rushed the school and opened fire for reasons we do not know yet, for reasons we may never know. Two of the young killers are dead. The sheriff says it looks like a suicide mission. The sheriff's giving us the first hint of what it was like in there today. Very violent inside Columbine High today. It began just before the lunch break. Our first reporter is from ABC's Tom Foreman, who's been at the scene.
Also, further information break.
Eyewitnesses say the two gunmen wearing black trench coats and black masks came in shooting and began working their way through the school. Teachers raced ahead to classrooms, yelling for students to run. Someone pulled a fire alarm.
Started coming in the library and opening fire and shooting out bombs.
You just feel it shake and the plaster would fall and the books would fall, and they came in here and they shot some and then they went back out.
People were getting shot all around me.
There was a guy at a table right next to us, next to me and her, and they just shot him and then walked away, and then he was just sitting there in a pool of blood.
As police SWAT teams rushed to the scene, the chaos grew. Some students and teachers locked themselves into rooms and used cell phones to call for rescue. Police pulled people out any way they could, at one point rushing up beneath a second-floor window to grab this wounded boy. Another girl was reportedly hit 9 times, and the gunman kept shooting. Students who made it out were gradually directed to another nearby school, where terrified parents were sent to find them. And those who had seen the shooting said the gunmen were members of a school gang that was often ridiculed by other students.
It's just a gang of about 20 guys who call themselves the Trench Coat Mafia. They wear trench coats every day to school, and wear makeup and paint their nails and stuff. They're just I don't know, everyone kind of thinks of them as different, and they always just hang out with themselves only, kind of associate themselves with death and violence.
For hours after the shooting began, police were picking their way through the building, looking for the suspects, students who were hiding or trapped, and more victims. What police and everyone else are looking for now is a reason for the violence that tore this quiet school and suburban neighborhood apart just weeks before graduation. Tom Foreman, ABC News, Littleton, Colorado.
I looked out the window and there was a kid with a trench coat and a shotgun throwing pipe bombs in the parking lot, and then he shot a girl outside.
Stand up a lot before we had the female down.
She was so young, but she started this chain reaction after her death.
Nobody's coming in from out there. I'm looking at it. The guy that's right outside the library door.
Those two boys were sick and tired of being bullied.
And he came into the library and shot everybody around me.
It's a big reason why those two boys did the killings at Columbine High School.
And the school is in a panic.
I can't hate them. They win if I hate them.
Shots in the building.
They win if I don't forget.
People are running out of the school like mad right now. Okay.
Even Rachel's writings helped us. She wrote about forgiveness.
Compassion is the greatest form of love humans have to offer.
One female's down.
And it's a passion of mine to do this, to get this to the world. We wish every single school could hear this.
He came up to me and whispered in my ear, he said, "You and your sister's story just saved my life."
I just think she followed her heart, and that caused her to leave the legacy that she did.
144 additional shots fired, large caliber.
How do you know that trust, compassion, and beauty will not make this world a better place to be in, and this life a better one to live? You just may start a chain reaction.
Dana is Rachel's big sister, part of that chain reaction, now called Rachel's Challenge. Family and friends sharing Rachel's message in school assemblies nationwide. 1.5 million students will hear her story this year. But where Rachel's Challenge perhaps has its biggest impact is on the silent majority of students who witness heartless behavior toward their classmates every day, but stand by without saying a word.
So many kids nowadays and students are being crammed with knowledge, of head knowledge, to try to get through this life with education, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what about getting to their heart about something? Without getting to the heart, you don't do very much with kids and young people today.
There were buses that came throughout the day and brought students. And I remember they told us there was one bus left. I remember running outside. I jumped on a little fence, and like a stone fence, and looked in the windows of the bus to see if I could catch a glimpse of Rachel. Thought I saw her. Your mind is so eager to latch on to hope. And when the last student got off the bus, I think that was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I think that's when I first knew that she was, for sure in my heart, that she was probably killed. This is not something I chose to do. I would have never, I'm not smart enough to figure out how to have a program that's going to impact corporate organizations, elementary schools, and colleges. You have to be 5 organizations to do that, and I'm a pretty simple person. All I did was went out and told her story, and by telling her story, we began to realize the impact that it had on lives.
And when you're a part of that, and you're part of that family, you've got to realize that there's something that you have to do. You have to do that's going to make a positive difference from a tragedy like this.
I just think that it was just meant to be.
Meant to be, because there is more to Rachel's story than her tragic death. She lived the things she talked about in her essay and told people frequently she believed one day she would have an impact on the world. A large number of educators in southern Idaho are betting she was right. Over the past few months, they've been hearing about Rachel's Challenge, a school assembly program that has become a movement for kindness and compassion nationwide. As Rachel's Challenge sweeps the nation, there are encouraging signs that schools can become better places to learn and live. First, by creating awareness.
We have so many young people come up to us after we're done in the speaking to 3,000, 1,500, 700, whatever we speak to, crying, telling us they want to change their life, that they have been mean, that they have not been a nice person.
Thank you for engaging in those 2 videos. As you can see, today is about to be a very special day. You're about to engage in an experience like no other, Rachel's Challenge. Before we move to our assembly or continue on with our classes, I would like for you to write down on your paper your response to these 4 questions that you see here. Teachers, please collect these questions, as the culture team will be able to read through these to establish our culture here and establish our principles for Rachel's Challenge. So make sure that all 4 questions are responded to. This is where you will stop just for now. After the assembly, all teachers, please replay this video and come straight to the following questions. So fast forward all the way through until you see the stop sign after you've seen the assembly and respond to the questions that are about to appear. Now that you have experienced the assembly, I think it's all time for us to take a second and really think about what we just experienced. Take a few minutes to write down your response to these following 3 questions. Which part of the program impacted you most? Number 2, out of the 5 challenges, which impacted you most and why? And after that, think about what you can do in your school to continue Rachel's Challenge. And I want us to discuss it as a class. If you see any adult in the hallway, if you see your fellow friends, please discuss how we can change the culture here to make it the place that you want. Alright, what chain reaction will you start?